Hi, thanks for joining me. I'm Andrea CHRESTON, a Senior Project Manager with Toronto and Region Conservation Authority. We know you're concerned about cormorants at Toronto Island Park and that you have questions about how the situation is being addressed. So I'm here to give you a quick update on the actions we've taken to date and our plans moving forward. To set the stage, I'd like to start by introducing the cormorants. Double-crested cormorants are native to North America. They're a colonial water bird, meaning they gather in large groups and live near large bodies of water like lakes and rivers. They have varied nesting strategies. Some nest in trees, others on the ground, but no matter their strategy, they nest in high densities. Cormorants eat fish, primarily alewife in Toronto, but they are skilled underwater hunters and are blamed for fish population declines, particularly in sport fishing hotspots and commercial fishing areas. Given their fishy diet and their high densities, cormorant colonies are also very smelly, which can be pretty repulsive. Cormorant populations have declined dramatically a couple of times in recent history. In the 1800s, like most other species, their populations crashed due to intense hunting pressures, and after recovering from that in the early 1900s, their population crashed again in the 1970s due to impacts of DDT, which was a popular chemical insecticide. DDT caused cormorant eggshells to thin, so adults couldn't incubate eggs without crushing them. DDT has since been banned, and it has cycled out of the ecosystem. With this, cormorant populations have started to recover. Another reason cormorants are persecuted is because they are ecosystem engineers. Their natural behaviors alter the environment they live in. In the case of tree nesting cormorants, they kill the trees they nest in. This happens for a couple of reasons. First is excrement. There is a large volume of excrement generated in a nesting colony, and it rains down from the nests. It ends up covering the leaves, which reduces the tree's ability to undertake photosynthesis and produce energy. The excrement is also highly acidic. This impacts the soil chemistry, making it more acidic and resulting in reduced nutrient availability. Also, it stunts root growth on the trees, which limits the tree's ability to absorb the limited available nutrients in the soil. So combined, these factors lead to declines in tree health. Second is the physical damage caused to the trees. Cormorants have a tendency of breaking branches to build nests and to clear a landing path. They are also compulsive nest builders. They continually add material to their nests, making the nests larger and heavier, and as the trees decline in health, the weight of the nests can cause further branch breakage. While cormorants hadn't been seen much in the Great Lakes during the 1970s and 1980s, the population started to recover in the late 80s and early 90s as DDT moved out of the ecosystem. 6 pairs started nesting at Tommy Thompson Park on the central Toronto waterfront in 1990, and the population grew from there. Toronto and Region Conservation Authority has monitored the cormorant nesting population since that time and has tracked the rate of tree health decline in nesting areas. By 2007, 24% of the original forest at Tommy Thompson Park had been impacted by cormorants. The trees had either already died and fallen, or they were in poor condition and were beyond saving. Toronto and Region Conservation Authority identified that some form of cormorant management was needed and established a cormorant advisory group composed of experts from all sides of the issue to develop a management strategy. The Tommy Thompson Park Cormorant Management Strategy has the goal to achieve a balance between the continued existence of a healthy, thriving cormorant colony and the other ecological, educational, scientific, and recreational values of Tommy Thompson Park. This is achieved through a non-lethal approach where we use deterrent techniques to discourage tree nesting in healthy trees and encourage cormorants to nest on the ground. Management actions are implemented seasonally. Nests remaining in healthy trees from a previous breeding season are removed in the winter months before the next season begins. During the spring breeding season, deterrent techniques are used to discourage cormorant nesting. We use an escalating scale, starting with low-key deterrents, such as human presence and shouting, and quickly graduate to more intense techniques, including artificial predators and noisemakers. We often use a combination of these techniques to keep the situation unpredictable and uncomfortable for cormorants. As cormorants start to build nests, we use forestry poles to remove the new nest material. At Tommy Thompson Park, we want to encourage ground nesting, so we add habitat features to make it more appealing, and we restrict human presence in the ground colony during the nesting season. Cormorant management at Tommy Thompson Park has been successful. Over the last 15 years, we have expanded the ground nesting colony, which now supports an average of 73% of the population. We have slowed down the rate that cormorants are expanding the tree colony, and we've limited tree canopy loss. We've also maintained a healthy population of breeding cormorants at the park. These photos represent the two types of nesting behaviors at Tommy Thompson Park. Tree nests are generally built high in the canopy, 80 to 100 feet above the ground. The ground colony, illustrated on the right-hand side of the slide, supports a high density of nests. The small black dots on this photo are individual cormorants sitting on their nests. In June 2022, a new cormorant colony was identified at Toronto Island Park. Toronto Island Park is owned and managed by the City of Toronto, and Toronto and Region Conservation Authority was contracted to manage the cormorants based on our experience at Tommy Thompson Park. Toronto Island Park is not a suitable location for a cormorant nesting colony. The park supports rare and significant habitats and has been designated as a provincially significant life science area of natural and scientific interest, as a provincially significant wetland complex, and as an environmentally significant area. These designations are based on the plant and animal species found in the natural areas within the park, and we want to protect these resources. The park is also an important recreational destination for Torontonians. The overall goal of the Toronto Island Cormorant Management Strategy is to achieve zero nesting cormorants at the park to protect the tree canopy. Through our management actions, we are also encouraging cormorants to return to nest on the ground at Tommy Thompson Park. Cormorant management at Toronto Island Park is based on the Tommy Thompson Park Management Strategy and uses the same management actions and deterrent techniques. Management was limited in 2022 since the colony was discovered late in the breeding season. We were able to prevent further expansion of the initial colony boundary that season and conduct a peak season nest count where we found 1,667 nests. We then developed and implemented a comprehensive management plan for 2023. Overall, that year we were able to reduce the total number of nests by 46%, but the nesting area expanded in size. Based on lessons learned in 2023, we enhanced the management plan for 2024. This included increasing staff numbers, arranging work schedules so we would have pre-dawn to post-dark coverage daily from April through June, and expanding our suite of deterrent techniques to include various audio tools and birds of prey. To further support management actions at Toronto Island Park, we built an elevated nesting platform within the ground nest colony at Tommy Thompson Park. This design allows cormorants who insist on tree nesting the option to nest at an elevation without impacting the tree health. With space for hundreds of nests, this structure should reduce pressure from tree nesting. We were cautiously optimistic about cormorant management at the start of the year. But that optimism didn't last long, as a pair of bald eagles was found nesting in the Toronto Island Park cormorant colony in early February. This was a great cause for celebration, as it is the first recorded nest in Toronto in recent history and is an indication of the health of our ecosystem. However, the challenge is that nesting eagles can be very sensitive to human disturbance. So we had to dramatically change our cormorant management plans to ensure our actions would not negatively impact the eagles. Based on eagle best management practices, we established a 100-meter buffer zone around the nest where no management actions would be undertaken. Since eagles are also sensitive to noise, we avoided use of audio deterrent tools, which we have relied upon heavily in previous years. All things considered, spring cormorant management went well this year. Cormorants have a very strong drive to nest in the spring, and we successfully prevented nesting across Toronto Island Park, including the nesting areas from 2022 and 2023, except, of course, for the area within the 100-meter eagle buffer zone. Cormorants are smart, and they realized that this area was a safe haven. We will be conducting a formal nest count in the fall, but we currently estimate about 2,000 nests within this area. Since there are currently cormorant chicks in the nests, there are no management actions that can be taken in the colony during the summer. The colony area is visible on the image on the right-hand side of this slide, pretty much the, call it beige area at the south end of the natural area. Our team is still active at Toronto Island Park this summer and are focused on deterring cormorants from sitting in trees on various islands and shorelines outside of the active nesting area to protect the vegetation. Great news is 2 bald eagle chicks hatched and both fledged. They are both seen regularly around the park. We're also seeing vegetation recovery in the 2022 and 2023 nesting areas. Some of these areas were almost barren during the nesting seasons, but the trees are resilient and are starting to bounce back. This is visible in these 2 images from Google Earth. The image on the left is from June 2022 when cormorants first started nesting at Toronto Island Park. The initial nesting area is at the north end of the natural area and is visible by the white trees. The image on the right is from July 2024. You can see that with successful cormorant management, the original nesting area is recovering and some of the impacted trees are back to a normal green color. This year's nesting area is visible at the south end of the natural area and will be the focus of our efforts in the future. Since Toronto Island Park provides excellent habitat, cormorants are strongly attracted to the area and we expect them to return next year. Cormorant management is complicated and there's no single technique that will stop or prevent nesting, and cormorants are tenacious and will repeatedly attempt nest building if they like the area. We will continue to use an integrated suite of techniques to keep things unpredictable for the birds, making it an undesirable location for nesting. Many people ask about culling. While culls are used in other jurisdictions to manage population numbers, culls do not completely eliminate nesting. Cormorants will continue to return to the colony throughout the breeding season, and culling can only occur before eggs start to hatch. More importantly, there are many public safety concerns associated with a cull, and there's no safe way to undertake this management technique at Toronto Island Park. We learned a lot this spring about the pair of nesting eagles and their level of tolerance to human disturbance. Fortunately, they demonstrated high levels of tolerance. This will allow us to go full force with cormorant management in 2025 and use our full suite of deterrent techniques. To prepare for next spring, our team will remove all the existing cormorant nests from the park this winter. This sets up a blank canvas for next spring and allows us to focus on deterring efforts to discourage nesting, followed by nest removals as required in the spring. We will also be enhancing and expanding the nesting structure at Tommy Thompson Park to increase the nest capacity there. Cormorant management at Toronto Island Park will require several more years to be successful and to stop nesting at this site. We are committed to this project and protecting the valuable natural resources at Toronto Island Park. If you have any questions, please email us at info@trca.ca. Thanks for watching.